The timeline that we have, and Anika has spoken to many of these families, which we'll play out for you in just a bit. But the timeline that we have at this point suggests that there was a lathi charge, there was a power cut, and all of that made the situation far, far worse. Remember, Vijay turned up 4 hours late, and so the crowds managed to swell up. There was a sense, I'm sure, of impatience. You see this very often. For many of us who've covered political rallies, we see politicians turn up late on time to ensure crowd surge, to ensure there's an air of impatience. So when they come, there's a sense of great relief, of cheer that happens. It's a clear political tactic. But in this kind of a situation, for Vijay to have turned up 4 hours late, why did the TVK go ahead with this event when they could see what was happening? Secondly, at the same time, why did the administration allow it when there were restrictions that were put in place? And yet those restrictions were being broken left, right and center. They allowed that to happen. What is the point of rules if you don't enforce it? This whole power cut business at 7 p.m. What explains it? How can you have pitch darkness with 50,000 people there? Imagine the panic that spreads. There are people lying unconscious on the roads. I want you to listen in to what witnesses have said. And these are people who've lost their loved ones in that stampede. Here's what they said about what they witnessed firsthand. Anaga Keshav spoke to them.
Okay.
யாரும் கரெக்ட்டா பதில் சொல்ல மாட்டேங்கறாங்க. அதே எங்க ஆம்புலன்ஸ்ல எங்க போதுனாலும் கரெக்ட்டா சொல்ல மாட்டேங்கறாங்க.
Okay. போலீஸ் எதுமே ஹெல்ப் பண்ணல. TVK ல இருந்து அந்த வாலண்டியர்ஸ் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணாங்களா?
வாலண்டியர்ஸ் பாதி பேர் அடிபட்டு போனது.
Okay. போலீஸ்ல இருந்து ஹெல்ப் பண்ணல, TVK வாலண்டியர்ஸும் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணல.
பண்ணல.
அம்மாக்கு எவ்வளவு வயசா இருந்தது சார்?
45.
45. உங்களுக்கு எவ்வளவு வயசு?
20.
படிக்கிறீங்களா?
ஆமாங்க.
Okay, okay. Please take care. My deepest condolences.
Issues like
So that's Anaga in conversation with someone who's lost his mother. He tells us of the chaos that played out, saying that there was no help that reached us because of the fact that, everyone was injured. He says TVK cadre themselves was injured. But what he also confirms is that there was a power cut from 7 to 7:30. And so at that point, people started trying to get out of the roads on the sides. This was on the main road. And then through the small lanes, they tried to go through. They tried to kind of find places there. There was a power cut. And in those narrow roads, there was also chaos that broke out. I want to listen in. I want to play out once again exactly what that witness said.
போலீஸ்ல இருந்து ஒரு ஹெல்ப் கூட கிடைக்கலங்க.
Okay.
யாரும் கரெக்ட்டா பதில் சொல்ல மாட்டேங்கறாங்க. அதே எங்க ஆம்புலன்ஸ்ல எங்க போதுனாலும் கரெக்ட்டா சொல்ல மாட்டேங்கறாங்க.
Okay. போலீஸ் எதுமே ஹெல்ப் பண்ணல. TVK ல இருந்து அந்த வாலண்டியர்ஸ் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணாங்களா?
வாலண்டியர்ஸ் பாதி பேர் அடிபட்டு போனது.
Okay. போலீஸ்ல இருந்து ஹெல்ப் பண்ணல, TVK வாலண்டியர்ஸும் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணல.
பண்ணல.
அம்மாக்கு எவ்வளவு வயசா இருந்தது சார்?
45.
45. உங்களுக்கு எவ்வளவு வயசு?
20.
படிக்கிறீங்களா?
ஆமாங்க.
Okay, okay. Please take care. My deepest condolences.
Okay, Anaga Keshav is joining us with more on that. Anaga, we just played out an excerpt of the conversation that you had with someone who's lost his mother in that particular stampede. So going through a very difficult time. But what he tells us is extremely crucial here because it gives us a sense of exactly what went wrong here. He says there was nobody to help. There was no sense of any medical help around. Ambulances weren't there. He couldn't see any of them. No cops to help them. There was no water. Power cut. I mean, this is bizarre. There's zero preps essentially on ground.
Well, right, Akshita. In fact, we're talking about an eyewitness who was there at the spot to give us a first-hand account of what has happened. He has just lost his mother, only 20 years old. He tells us that he's still studying. His mother, Jayanti, is only aged 45. Both the mothers and both of them are fans of Vijay who were there to just get a glimpse of him. That is when he says that as soon as Vijay arrived, there was a power cut. No water was given. All this aside, but how was it that the police personnel was so clueless when there was a tragedy of this scale that has struck. He makes it very clear that the police officers were not answering to our queries. Nobody was there to help them, including the TVK volunteers. He says that the volunteers themselves were injured. So where is the question of helping us? But what's all the more shocking is the kind of cluelessness that we are hearing from the police department. Why is it that 500 of them, 500 police personnel from Tamil Nadu's police department were clueless and not able to help those who were in need of help? Wasn't it their only job to help bring ambulances, fetch water, take care of them, give them enough bandobast? But nothing was done. When there was a disaster of that scale that had struck, when there was a tragedy in place, the police were utterly clueless. They were not the least bit helpful, is what we are hearing from son. His name is Mr. Ashwin Kumaran. He is still studying. He was there. He is also a big fan of actor Vijay. He says that he was there with his mom. In fact, I had more conversation with him. He said that both of them, the mother son, they were there from 1 o'clock. So from 1 o'clock, they even had their lunch here. So from 1 o'clock up until the tragedy struck, that's about 1 to 7. That's about 6 hours. 6 hours, 7 hours. The mother son, both of them were here waiting, eagerly waiting for Vijay to turn up. But when did he turn up? Only at 7:40. That's when he turned up. Utterly shocking and very distasteful, and a very disappointment that we are seeing from actor Vijay's behalf, because he had promised to be here at around 12:30, but he turned up only at 7:40. He really has a lot of questions to answer for. And as we are speaking, we are hearing from our sources that Vijay is holding a meeting with his party functionaries to really find out and figure out
We're going to get that news break as well.
action.
I want to get in a reaction from Dr. Sumansi Raman and Shekhar Iyer on this. Based on what witnesses tell us, Dr. Raman, there was a power cut for 30 minutes between 7 to 7:30, which I can't understand right now. You have 50,000 people who've gathered, struggling to go to any location, struggling to get to a safe spot. They don't have water, there's no medical help, cops aren't around, and then you cut off power.
I think over two things. I mean, I would not jump to conclusions about the power cut, because the power cuts are very, very frequent in the smaller towns of Tamil Nadu. So it's not like it's an unheard of event. And you did have a situation where in earlier cases, sometimes power had to be switched off because you had fans of Vijay, hanging from the electric poles and so on. That's been already mentioned, in fact, even in the recent weeks, that that was a serious concern that people would get electrocuted, and in some cases they had even switched off the power. But that was during the rallies which were held in the day, not at Karur. Now we need to figure out, because this point has come up even earlier, that there was power disruption in some parts of the rally at around the time that Vijay was there. And there are before and after photographs of the same location with the lights and without the lights. So I'm sure all of these will be gone into by the inquiry commission, and the facts would hopefully be ascertained and put out in the public domain. But having said that, again, what is it that is preventing the TVK from sending people to?
Okay, we've lost a connection, unfortunately, with Dr. Sumansi Raman.